So laying out the furniture or vintage shops is best done when you are in play mode because you can then organize where things go on the walls and the floor with actual pieces of artwork hanging there. It's a lot worse when it's just the dots in design mode and you can't see what's where, or at least you can't really visualize what's going to overlap too much. So to get around this, because everything is reset when you come out of play mode back to the pre-state, I created this store layout editor helper class thingamajig. Let me size this down here. And what this does is it helps to remember where things were and and then applies those locations after you pop out of play mode. I'll just demonstrate that for a second, make it pretty clear. So you get at this from the plant therapy menu in the top bar, and then you select store layout editor, and then you'll get this normal Unity window that you can tab or dock somewhere. So the first thing to do as a safety feature is I need us to type in part of the name of the scene so we don't mistakenly lay out a different scene that we weren't intending to. It doesn't have to be the whole scene name. Like the scene name is Brooklyn Furniture Store. It can just be furniture. And then this tool will scan and only use things from that scene. So if we scan for items here, what we see are all the locations that things can go in that store, their unique IDs, and then their current position in the store. So if we then come into the editor and select a chair or the mirror or anything, and we want to move it around to a different spot where it's going to be laid out, you can grab it and then move it as you see fit. I'll do it a few times with like these pieces of art or the shelving. Really anything can be done like this. Let's see if we drag all the plushies over so they're more around this chair as an example. And then what we do, what the tool allows us to do then is save all those locations. So you scan for items again before you exit play mode, and it will remember then all these locations of the various things in the room. You'll see here, if you notice this in this position change for these two items, so then we can pop out of play mode and then you click apply locations and you'll see updates down here in the scene as things are moved back into those spots. So then when you play again, everything's all where you want it to be, and you can test the layout again. And then I just cycle around this a few times until I get things more or less where I want them to be. And then go from there. Let's see. Furniture. And then, yeah, if you click up in the game view to make sure it has the focus, and then F1, you can cycle through things. So you can see that on here. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but if you want to keep adjusting things, do that until you're satisfied, and then you should be good with the layout. So again, that's before you exit play mode, you scan for items, and then after you exit play mode, you apply those locations. And you should be good for at least laying out existing items. So let's talk about adding new locations, right? So here, there's only a few pieces of art on the wall. What if we wanted more of those, or more rug locations or more plushies? I'll show you how to do that now. So you pop out of play mode. We're going to use this again in a while, but for now, I will focus on this. And then in the Brooklyn Furniture Store scene, you want to find this item right here, item parent. So all the locations for artwork and sculptures and whatnot um, are children of this item, and they're actually grandchildren in this case because the first three items in here define regions of the store, and what these regions have are the rules that dictate what can go in there. So like this high-end item has a store region script. Inside there's a nice name saying high-end items, but the rule is the important part. There's one rule in here saying things that are tagged high-end can occupy up to 100% of all the slots in here. There's only 2 right now, but we'll add more in here later saying high-end items can occupy 100% of this space. And then the other piece here is this allow non-matching items is unchecked, meaning things that aren't tagged high-end, that don't match one of these rules up here, are omitted from this region. So essentially this is saying everything in here will be a high-end item. And you can drag things between the general items, which is, if we look at those, it has another set of rules on it saying basically there's no high-end items here. And there's like at most 25% art, 25% dog, and 25% spring. This is what we use in the vintage shop to kind of curb overpopulating the store with one particular kind of item. And you notice here as well that allow non-matching items is set to true, right? So if a normal shelf or sculpture that isn't tagged anything like this comes up, it'll be allowed into the store. Okay, so if you wanted to, you can drag things between here and here, right? The children are affected by the rules that are defined in these parent items. So like say this chair can be anything now, but if I want it to be high end, I just drag it down in here and now it will be a high end only chair. Same thing for sculpture, artwork, or whatever. You can drag things back and forth as you need to. But to make, so that's one thing with the rules. So I think these are set up. You can adjust these rules by adding or subtracting or editing these things and playing with them to see what they do, or talk to me and we'll figure it out. But this might be good enough as a starting point. And then the one thing you need to worry about would be the membership of what goes where. Okay, second piece would be how to add more artwork or more sculptures or more rugs. And the easy way to do it is just grab, let's say we want 3 or 4 rugs in this store. So you just select it and Control D to duplicate it. And I'm going to duplicate it 3 times. So we have a total of 4 rugs. And then you'll notice down in the design view, well, we'll just drag those to be approximately where we want them. It doesn't have to be perfect now. I would wait until you get back into play mode and then lay them out with rugs attached to those spots. And then you can finalize the locations by using the scan for items and apply locations mechanism. So there's now 4 rugs in here, and I'm going to add a couple more pieces of art, medium sized. So the way to read this is for art, and it accepts up to medium-sized artworks. So that sounds good to me. So it'll take a small or a medium piece. I'm going to duplicate that twice and then drag these somewhere else in the room. I don't want them overlapping immediately just because, well, it'll be easier to lay out if they're at least separated somewhat. Let's see. Okay, let's add 2 more plushies as well. Duplicate that twice. Control D, and then I'm going to drag those out somewhere else so then I can lay them out in play mode. Okay, so all this duplication has presented one problem that this tool up here solves. I'll show that to you now. Just like our prefabs, we don't want the same ID to be used more than once for each location because we don't know where to put things back to. So when you scan for items, not in play mode in this case, you see these Ds show up, and these just represent duplicate IDs. And this also represents an empty ID, something we don't want. So to use fix this by saying fix IDs, this fix ID button will show up. If there's a problem, you click it, and it will assign unique IDs to everything that's not unique. And then the other piece that is nice to have here is this run auto naming, because these the items within the tree are named in such a way that hopefully you can tell what size they'll take, and to get rid of some of these weird naming collisions of like plushie only 1, parentheses 1 and then 2. This is just kind of ugly. This auto naming will impose some standard naming conventions. I'll show you that. I'll click it and then we'll talk about it. So you notice this plushie only 1 went to number 3 and number 4. And then the last piece here shows you that it is up to medium sized. Just like over, well, all these, right? The last piece is the size up to it can go. You'll notice there's a difference here. So this M is in parentheses, and this XL and L are also in parentheses, just like this L. What this means is that this location only takes a medium shelf. This sculpture location only accepts XL or large items. And we do this because sometimes we want a certain location to only accept a certain sized item. And so we just configured that location for that. And by using this auto naming piece, you can get a good gist of what will fit in there just from scanning down the names. Okay, so Control D on an item to make a new location. Move it somewhere in the store so you can lay it out later. Scan for items. Fix IDs to clear the duplicates. And then auto rename to fix the naming. And you should be good to go. So now we've added a bunch of locations here. I'm going to go back into play mode and we can adjust where they are. Okay, so here's the rugs we added, and we see the plushies we added as well as the artwork and whatever. So yeah, let's just start moving some things around. So when I click on this plushies here, they're not selecting for me. That's because the over here is not set up to be selected. This icon here means can you click on it in the scene view or not? And the easy way, or at least super helpful, is to click this one here with a finger slash, meaning it can't be selected. Game control can't be selected. And then actually the only thing we want to be selectable in the whole scene is just this item parent here. So I toggle this until I get down to this configuration to where the item parent doesn't have the icon, which means I can select anything in there, and then everything else has that finger slash on it. So now if I click on the plushie, it'll get selected right away. And you'll see over here where we have it's selected nicely as well. Okay, I'm just going to move these around a little bit. This is just an example. So good enough. Move the rugs up a little bit. Very plush heavy. Sofa. and then click up into the game view, hit F1 a couple times. This rug is too high. What's going on here? Okay. So this isn't perfect, but this hopefully, let's move this wall sconce. This gives you an idea of what to start playing with as far as that goes. So again, before I exit play mode, I scan for items to remember where everything got moved to. And then I exit play mode, and then I apply locations, and then everything gets shifted around. And I think that's pretty much it for doing a layout, adjusting the layout at runtime, adding new items. All of these item locations over here are prefabs down in the project. I've created a bunch, hopefully that covers everything that we have. If you can't think of anything, just let me know and we'll make a new one. But yeah, if something isn't up in the scene, you could come down here and drag one of these into the appropriate room region. So like if you want a new high-end sculpture, you could just drag that prefab into high-end sculptures up here, and then you should be good to go. The next time, after you drag in a few of these, you do the same scan, and then you would do the fix if it lit up, and you do the auto naming to name it correctly so it matches the scheme we have there. Okay, like if you want a new table, you could drag that into, I don't think there are any high-end tables, so I drag that into general items, scan and run again to name that. So then this table will be populated and show up. Same as this sculpture. And then you can go back into play mode and adjust where they are with artwork attached. And I think that's about it. There's more if we wanted to get into it, but let's start there.